VON Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tashan Tyson, in with the VON Major News package for today, Friday 22nd March 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, more opportunities for nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis to pursue higher education, and St. Kitts and Nevis signed trade continuity agreement with the United Kingdom. Regionally, BVI Health Department to increase nightly inspections of local restaurants. Internationally, Pompeo says God may have sent Trump to save Israel from Iran. And in sports, Special Olympics, Nevis's sports minister commends SKN Athletics athletes to return on March 23rd. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse.
Wow.
Welcome back. Another national news in detail. His Royal Highness HRH, the Prince of Wales, has announced postgraduate Commonwealth scholarships to mark the 70th anniversary of the modern Commonwealth and in recognition of his own 70th birthday. His Royal Highness was born on November 14, 1948, and named Charles Philip Arthur George, the eldest child of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and heir apparent to the British throne. Speaking at a reception at Government House in St. Kitts on Thursday, 21st March, the Prince said that helping young people achieve their potential is something for which he has always been minded, and it is for this reason that he started the Prince's Trust 43 years ago. Up to 20 scholarships will be offered over a 3-year period for postgraduate applicants from St. Kitts and Nevis and any other Commonwealth nation to commence in 2019, with the first recipients taking up their places at the University of Cambridge for the academic year 2019-2020. The level of study will be a mixture of master's and PhD degrees in fields of study that would focus on practical themes affecting the future of the Commonwealth and which the Prince has been focused on for more than 40 years. These include sustainable communities, climate change, and the blue economy. Each scholarship will cover fees and living expenses and will be tenable at the University of Cambridge. St. Kitts and Nevis is one of 9 Caribbean countries to have signed a trade continuity agreement with the United Kingdom. The deal is expected to support development and economic growth in the CORIFORUM signatory states, for which total trade with the UK is already at £2.5 billion. The UK's Trade Policy Minister George Hollingbury signed the UK CORIFORUM Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, today, Friday 22nd March, with ministers and representatives from St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbados, Belize, the Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The agreement will allow businesses in the UK and many others across the Caribbean to trade like they do now without any additional barriers or tariffs. It eliminates all tariffs on all goods imported from the signing countries into the UK, while those Caribbean states will continue gradually to cut import tariffs on most of the region's imports from the UK. These preferential terms are part of the UK government's commitment to supporting developing countries to reduce poverty through trade. One Kitishan man has received bail in relation to a firearm charge against him. According to a police communique, Jason Hamilton of Limekiln, St. Kitts, has been granted bail after being charged for the offenses of possession of a firearm with intent to injure and aggravated assault. He received bail in the sum of $100,000 with two sureties, with the conditions that 1. No contact should be made with the virtual complainant either by himself or any agent acting on his behalf, and 2. He is to appear before the Bastille Magistrates Court on June 3, 2019, and on any further day to which the charges may be postponed to answer the charges made against him. The offences for which he was charged were committed on March 18th and are in relation to a report made by a female that Hamilton threatened her with a firearm and physically assaulted her. Hamilton was charged and subsequently bailed on March 21st. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has issued a missing person bulletin for 17-year-old Jamaic Isaac. Isaac, who resides in Connery Village, St. Kitts, is brown in complexion and has brown eyes, 5 feet 6 inches tall, and wears black dreadlocks. She was reportedly to have been last seen at her home by a family member sometime after 8:30 a.m. on Monday, March 18, 2019. She was wearing her Washington Archibald High School uniform. Anyone who may have any information regarding the whereabouts of Miss Isaac is asked to contact the Special Victims Unit or the nearest police station. Reports reaching the VON Newsline have revealed that a fire broke out at the St. Kitts Robert L. Batcher International Airport on Friday morning, March 22nd. Unconfirmed reports say the fire may have started as a result of a portable charger in a piece of luggage as it was passing through an X-ray machine. Consequently, the American Airlines morning flight to Miami has been delayed. Fire and police officers were on the scene. More details will be provided on this story. Over the years, Blanket Night has received strong support from parents, guardians, and other family members. Its success has attracted a number of sponsors over the years, and children involved have voiced the excitement of the activities planned. For this year's Blanket Night, a family reading kit will be distributed to the registered families to encourage them to continue to engage their children at home. Coordinator of Blanket Night, Miss Landa Brown, explains the kit.
The family reading kit is basically your take-home so that you can replicate the activity in your own home. So this year, it will include a blanket, it will include a storybook, and it will include a little booklet that we have created at the Department of Education that includes tips and online resources that you could look to for ideas to make your family story time at home fun. And so that basically is the family reading kit that we will be distributing to those who are registered. The registration fee is $20, and each family we are going to give one family kit because it's a family activity. Everybody doesn't have to have their own kit. We do it together as a family.
The contents of the kit are due to the kind contributions of corporate and non-profit sponsors. These include Nevis Multiline, Nora Lescott Construction, and DC Trucking, which donated blankets, and the non-profit organization Hands Across the Sea that donated the books that are going to be distributed in the kits. St. Kitts has been recognized internationally for being a leading nation for sustainability in travel and tourism. This following leading UK publication, The Telegraph, featuring St. Kitts in an article on sustainable tourism and planning for the future. The St. Kitts Sustainable Destination Council is a finalist in the Destination Stewardship Award category of the World Travel and Tourism Council's Tourism for Tomorrow Awards. In its feature, The Telegraph says this accolade is recognition that St. Kitts is leading the way globally in sustainable destination management and is strategically balancing the great economic benefits of tourism with the need to minimize any negative impacts on society, culture, and environment. The article applauds St. Kitts' proactive and future-led thinking, recognizing that a sustainable tourism strategy is required following its exponential tourism growth between 2005 and 2015. It commends the establishment of the St. Kitts Sustainable Destination Council to identify a vision for the nation during a time of change and growth to maximize long-term development and evolution, and to safeguard St. Kitts' unique tourism offering for years to come. Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Lindsay F.P. Grant, said it is a tremendous achievement to be a finalist in the WTTC Tourism for Tomorrow Awards, and the island is extremely proud. Permanent Secretary Henry Morton and Assistant Secretary Dianil Taylor-Williams will attend the 19th WTTC Global Summit in Sevilla, Spain, from 2nd to 4th April 2019, where the winners of the 2019 Tourism for Tomorrow Awards will be announced. And finally, nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis are being urged to be ready to seize. Nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis are being urged to be ready to seize emerging job opportunities here in the Federation or any country around the world. The plea from Senior Minister and Minister of Labour, the Honourable Vance Amory. His plea comes against the backdrop of the recent expansion of the categories of skilled workers who can move and work freely across participating member states of the Caribbean Community Single Market and Economy.
Is not sufficient at this stage just to be able to do the work. It is important that you have the relevant skill certificate, whether it is in the hotel industry, whether it's a construction worker, whether you're working as a self-employed person, you need to have that certification. We need to ensure that we equip ourselves by taking advantage of any training opportunity, any upgrade in our skills which come along, and also to get the certification.
The Honourable Vance Amory. Minister Amory said that the Ministry of Labour and the Ministry of Education have targeted technical and vocational education and training TVET as an area where nationals can gain a skill and become certified with a National Vocational Qualification NVQ certificate. The categories of skilled workers eligible to live and work freely in CSME participating member states are agricultural workers, artisans, artists, barbers, beauty service practitioners, media practitioners, musicians, registered nurses, sports persons, trained teachers, and university graduates. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family to swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back. Another regional news in detail. Out of the British Virgin Islands. The Environmental Health Division of the Ministry of Health is increasing nightly inspections of food establishments across the territory. A media release on Thursday indicated that the division is increasing nightly inspections to improve the food safety standards in the British Virgin Islands. The division said starting Monday, March 25th, inspections will be conducted during the evening, particularly for those establishments that open after 5 p.m. Still in the BVI. Despite the territory collecting more than $50 million in excess revenue last year, Premier Andrew Foy has suggested that he inherited the Ministry of Finance portfolio somewhat at a disadvantage. That is because the previous National Democratic Party administration squandered most of those additional monies, the Premier said on Tuesday. According to the website BVI News, Mr. Foy was quoted as saying, "You will still have to start from scratch." He also mentioned that the last year the country performed well, but the extra $50 million was blown in election projects. Out of the U.S. Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands Police Department, VIPD, is investigating the cause of death of a man found floating in the ocean near the National Park Visitor Center in Cruz Bay on Thursday morning. According to the VIPD, officers were dispatched to the area at around 6:17 a.m. Upon their arrival, a body was found floating in the water in Cruz Bay and was brought to shore by personnel of the St. John's Rescue. The victim was a white male, but he had no identification on his person. The cause of death is unknown, pending a medical examiner's finding. Out of Saba. The Windward Islands People's Movement, WIPM, secured all 5 seats in the March 20th Island Council elections with 779 votes of the total number of 984 valid votes that were cast. The preliminary voting results were announced shortly after 11 p.m. on Wednesday. The definite voting results will be ascertained during a meeting of the main voting bureau. On Thursday, March 28th, the new Island Council for the period 2019 to 2023 will be installed and the 2 commissioners appointed. Out of Barbados. The Barbados government has outlined a series of new fiscal measures aimed at turning around the ailing economy. In delivering the 2019-2020 budget presentation, Prime Minister Mia Mottley told Barbadians that the island is preparing to depart stabilization and moving on to the path of growth and transformation. In a presentation lasting more than 5 hours, Mottley said that the taxation policies of her administration would strike a balance between direct versus indirect taxation, taxing income versus taxing wealth and consumption, while sharing the burden of taxation across businesses, households, locals, foreigners, and tourists. For the income year 2018, the government said it will add $9 million to the existing allocation of $11.3 million Barbadian dollars for Barbadians who earn 18,000 Barbadian dollars or less annually. The reverse tax credit is expected to place just over $20 million back into the hands of low-income Barbadian workers. And finally, firefighters from 14 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean attend the 5th International Comprehensive Rescue Course at the Regional Center for Training, Rescue and Firefighters, CRESB by its Spanish CRESB in Havana, led by specialists from Cuba and Russia. Along with Russian specialists and Cuban instructors, the course is attended by firefighters from Antigua and Barbuda, Guatemala, Venezuela, Honduras, the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Colombia, Jamaica, Dominica, El Salvador, Panama, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Ecuador, countries linked to the Community of Latin America and Caribbean States, CELAC. The training for this course includes first aid, training in search and rescue in disaster areas, even in high places such as mountains and tall buildings, and a night exercise is planned so that students can exercise in those conditions. That's it for Original Stories. Stay with us for news from around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has said it is possible that President Donald Trump was sent by God to save Israel from Iran. In an interview with the Christian Broadcasting Network during a high-profile trip to Israel, he said it was his faith that made him believe that. He also praised U.S. efforts to make sure that this democracy in the Middle East, that this Jewish state remains. The comments came on a Jewish holiday celebrating rescue from genocide. Meantime, White House senior advisor and President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, used WhatsApp for official business, a top Democrat says. Democrat Elijah Cummings, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, made the allegations in a letter to the White House on Thursday. It is unclear whether Mr. Kushner allegedly used the messaging app to discuss classified information. A probe into the use of personal email accounts at the White House is ongoing. The passwords of millions of Facebook users were accessible by up to 20,000 employees of the social network, it has been reported. Security researcher Brian Krebs broke the news about data protection failures, which saw up to 600 million passwords stored in plain text. The passwords that were exposed could date back to 2012, he said. In a statement, Facebook said it had now resolved a glitch that had stored the passwords on its internal network. North Korea has withdrawn from the Inter-Korean Liaison Office, which was opened amid a warming of ties last year to facilitate talks with the South. Seoul said it was contacted on Friday and informed that North Korea staff would be leaving later in the day. It has expressed its regret at the decision and is urging staff from the North to return as soon as possible. The pullout follows a failed summit between the U.S. and North Korean leaders in Hanoi last month. The liaison office, located in the North Korean border city of Kaesong, had allowed officials from North and South Korea to communicate on a regular basis for the first time since the Korean War. It is meant to be staffed by up to 20 people from each side. And finally, Theresa May has been granted an extra 2 weeks to come up with a Brexit solution after talks with EU leaders. The UK's departure date had originally been set for 29th March. European Council President Donald Tusk said all Brexit options would remain open until then. The BBC's Ian Watson reports.
Inside number 10, the hope is that the Prime Minister can get a deal through at the third time of asking. On Monday, the chair of the cross-party Brexit Committee, Hilary Benn, will propose that MPs be given parliamentary time to discuss alternatives to Mrs May's deal. But Downing Street insiders believe if these alternatives point to a softer Brexit, that is, staying close to EU rules, or a further delay in departing, then long-standing Leave supporters could rethink their opposition to the Prime Minister's deal. It's expected that there will be a further vote on it next week.
That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
See you, Joan.
Betty, how come you never tell me what's going on up at TDC?
Well, I'm glad you asked because TDC Automotive has some awesome deals. Get the car a new spare tire for just $100 plus VAT. And they have selected tires for 30% off. And for the Jeep, if you buy a selected Goodyear tire, you can get a second one for just $99.
Well.
And not finished yet. They're offering up to 30% off selected Valvoline oils and universal car mats and a whopping 50% off Energix batteries.
TDC Automotive not making no joke. I going up there now.
Welcome back, and now the sports in detail.
Of course,
we are all aware that our Special Olympians went to Abu Dhabi to compete in the World Special Games, and our athletes are due to return home on Saturday, the 23rd of March. And I guess most people would know by now that the athletes performed exceptionally well in Abu Dhabi. That's the team from St. Kitts and Nevis. And with respect to the athletes from Nevis, we can safely say that we had 5 athletes who took part in the games, and all 5 are coming back with medals. Out of the 5, 4 of the athletes would have received gold medals. And we are extremely proud of the performances of the athletes in Abu Dhabi, and we will be very happy to welcome them when they return.
That's Nevis's Minister of Sports, Honorable Eric Evelyn. The Special Olympics was held from March 14th to March 21st in Abu Dhabi. Athletes from St. Kitts and Nevis represented the federation. In light of the athletes doing well at the competition, Minister Evelyn says the ministry has planned a small celebration.
We have a mini motorcade that is planned for Monday. That's Monday the 25th of March, starting at the Cicely Brown Integrated School from 12 noon. And that motorcade will go through Charlestown and then through Brown Hill. And after the motorcade, we have a reception for the athletes as well as for the students of the Cicely Brown Integrated School, bearing in mind that all of the athletes would have passed through that school. And so we will start and end at that school to ensure that we include the teachers and the students of the school. And so that reception will be held at the school at the brand new lunchroom that was recently commissioned earlier this year. And so we have that reception for the athletes, for the students of the school, as well as for the parents of the athletes. Now, members of the public who wish to join in the motorcade, you are free to do so.
Minister of Sports here in Nevis, Honorable Eric Evelyn. In local football. As part of the SKNFA tournament, the Hard Times football team journeyed to St. Kitts to engage a Newtown football team at the Newtown playing field on Thursday evening, March 21st. There were a few close calls in the first half, but to their credit, the Hard Times defense held true even into the second half. Final score, Newtown 3, Hard Times 0. Still in local sports. The combined Church Ground, CG Massives and Cotton Ground CG Rebels team journeyed to Montserrat during the period March 15th and March 17th to participate in a friendly basketball encounter versus a Montserrat team. Scores were as follows: CG and CG team 68, Montserrat 65. And finally, in fulfilling its responsibility as parent body for sports, the Jamaica Olympic Association, JOA, extended its support for the men's national under-23 football team with a $3.5 million funding to cover salary of coaches Donovan Ducky and Meron Gordon. The financial commitment is an ongoing investment by the JOA in the team's historic quest for a first-time qualification in Olympic football for Jamaica. The handing over took place at Olympic Manor, the JOA headquarters at Cunningham Avenue in Kingston, and Christopher Samuda, its president, said the contribution for the agenda and implored the youth to stay committed and compete in the spirit of Olympism. That's it for sports. The local weather report is next. Welcome back. And now the local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight will be mostly fair. Weather tomorrow will be partly cloudy with a 20% or slight chance of showers. Winds are east to southeast at 15 to 22 kilometers per hour or 8 to 12 knots. Seas are 1.5 meters seas are 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:13 a.m. And that's her wrap up the Major News package for today, Friday 22nd March 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, more opportunities for nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis to pursue higher education, and St. Kitts and Nevis signed trade continuity agreement with the United Kingdom. Regionally, BVI Health Department to increase nightly inspections of local restaurants. Internationally, Pompeo says God may have sent Trump to save Israel from Iran. And in sport, Special Olympics, Navy Sport Prime Minister commends SKN athletes to return on March 23rd. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tashon Tyson wishing you a great weekend.